I'm Nikki Shaver, the CEO of Legaltech Hub. Since ChatGPT launched, the landscape for legal AI tools has exploded. The category of legal AI assistant grew from 2 products in March 2023 to over 80 by the fall of 2024. This rapid evolution has created confusion for law firms and other legal tech buyers. Without piloting and validating legal AI products, it's impossible for buyers to know whether they are reliable.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and this is Langston. We started Vals AI to benchmark large language models and generative AI applications on enterprise-specific tasks. Benchmarking has largely been an academic effort, but it has not been sufficient to understand the frontier of applied AI. Existing open-source benchmarks are often leaked into pre-training corpuses, so the results lose meaning, and we also find that these benchmarks are largely built on contrived academic tasks rather than real-world industry use cases.
To enable our benchmarking, we have built our own testing infrastructure. Our platform allows subject matter experts to perform the review and over time, shift that review to our automated testing system. This can be used by researchers and developers to test the incremental ability of their applications. It can also be used by buyers like law firms to rigorously evaluate any product, aiding a manual pilot process.
When Jeroen and I met Vals and learned about the capabilities that Ryan and Langston had developed to evaluate AI models at scale using technology, we realized quickly the opportunity to develop a study that could bring to the industry the understanding that both vendors and buyers sought about the efficacy of legal AI products. Upon learning that the Vals capabilities could evaluate not just foundation models, but any product through an API, we commenced planning for a project that would establish the kind of independent benchmarking the industry so desperately needed.
My name is Jeroen Plink and I'm the CEO of Legaltech Hub. A number of the studies run in 2024 were damaging to legal technology providers and to the industry as a whole because they suggested that AI was not safe or reliable for use in legal. These studies had a detrimental impact, increasing skepticism in the market in a way that was not justifiable. When we met Vals, we knew there was an opportunity to correct the record and increase trust and transparency in the market by conducting a truly independent, impartial study using a robust methodology to show where AI can be useful in legal work.
We recognized that a project of this nature would not be successful unless it was truly collaborative, involving all of the interested parties, and it leveraged the right kind of data for the purpose of developing the benchmarks. That data had to be sourced from lawyers so that the study properly showed whether the products were reliable and useful in relation to the work that lawyers actually did. We reached out to a number of law firms seeking participation in a consortium effort to source the data for the project, and were delighted that 8 firms came on board. We also determined that it would be extremely useful to develop a human control as part of the study in order to show the performance of actual human lawyers against the technology in each area studied. Demonstrating how the solutions performed in comparison to lawyers was part of what would make the study so useful.
Our first step was to define the specific tasks for which we wanted to evaluate the vendors. We landed on 7 skills: data extraction, document question answering, summarization, redlining, transcript analysis, chronology generation, Edgar research, and legal research. In the first study, we're releasing all the results except legal research.
With these use cases, we then reached out to the major legal vendors to see if they wanted to be included. Each vendor could choose which of the 7 skills to opt in or out of. The vendors in the study are Thomson Reuters with CoCounsel, Lexis with Lexis plus AI, Felix with Vincent AI, Vecflow with Oliver, and Harvey. Through extensive collaboration with these groups, we understood the scope of their tools and created a methodology that is consistent with their designs.
In an effort to answer the question, what is the quality of the work product being produced by these legal generative AI tools, we found it necessary to establish a baseline measure of quality of work produced by the average lawyer. We used an ALSP to source lawyers who were asked to answer the same questions we posed to the vendors. This allowed us to identify the areas where generative AI tools outperform or underperform compared to an average lawyer.
For all of the skills except legal research, we evaluated the tools using our own automated evaluation infrastructure. Were we to manually score every single output of the 5 AI tools and the lawyers, it would have taken more than 400 hours. This would have been prohibitively slow and expensive. Instead, our methodology allows for the same criteria to be applied consistently to a response, reducing human errors as well as undesirable subjectivity and bias.
Based on some of the unique challenges posed by legal research, we felt it was necessary to evaluate this with its own methodology. It was at this point in the study that we brought on Tara Waters to be the project lead. As you can imagine, there were many moving parts, and Tara had the perfect experience to take on this role as the previous Chief Digital Officer at Ashurst, where she led the effort to test and implement generative AI products. I'll leave it to her to talk through the methodology for legal research.
Evaluating legal research has been a hotly debated topic, and so we felt it was important to understand the viewpoints of not just our consortium of law firms and vendors, but also the broader industry. We consulted with a number of independent lawyers, law librarians, and legal academics, as well as re-reviewed the rubrics that have been made public in connection with prior studies. We used this information to help inform the specific new rubric and scoring criteria that we created for the legal research task. And then that rubric was used for the conduct of the evaluation by a number of lawyers and law librarians, including representatives from Vanderbilt AI Legal Labs and BYU Law. Our criteria focuses on three key main aspects: accuracy of the substance of the answer, of course; authoritativeness, meaning correct and relevant sources have been cited, and incorrect and irrelevant sources have not been cited; and appropriateness in terms of the form and format of the answer. Bringing together and coordinating all of the different parts of not just the legal research task, but the study as a whole was a significant undertaking. And while many of us have been in law firms and conducting our own evaluations, I certainly can say this study was conducted at a completely different scale, a completely different pace, and to a more scientific method. And ultimately, one of the key learnings from this study is that to conduct these types of evaluations, both at scale and on a repeatable basis, is going to require collaboration across the industry in terms of agreeing acceptable benchmarking standards and methodologies, collating and maintaining high-quality data sets, and then running the studies themselves.
After collecting the results, we found that in 3 of the 7 skills, there were vendor solutions that outperformed the human baseline. These skills were data extraction, document question answering, and document summarization. These are the tasks where lawyers may have the greatest success in using generative AI. Document QA in particular produced the highest scores of the vendors out of any task in the study.
There were a few common error modes that we found in the AI tools that are important to keep in mind when using them in practice. In general, we found that some applications make mistakes when there are multiple clauses that need to be referenced for a single question. In other cases, the tools did not understand terms of art that were necessary to provide an accurate answer. The hardest questions were those in which the model had to read several documents and produce extracted text across them.
Interestingly, we found that the humans still made mistakes, such as issues in copy-pasting sources or writing very terse responses. These were often different types of mistakes than the AI tools made. We also discovered there were very clear differences between how the products were designed. Some of them handled long context or long documents better. Others would walk through their reasoning more carefully.
The response times also varied heavily, as low as a few seconds to as long as 5 minutes. Although there were differences, all tools were still significantly faster than the lawyer control group, 6 times faster at the lowest end, and 80 times faster at the highest end. For this reason alone, it is important to consider these tools as categorically different from lawyer work product.
Preliminary results are promising. They show without a doubt that AI is useful in the context of legal work. Anyone who's been resisting using AI because they're concerned about its reliability or accuracy will need to shift position. The Vals report proves that using AI in legal work will significantly improve not just the efficiency, but also the accuracy of certain workflows.
What's most fascinating about the study is that fact that in some of the areas studied, the technology outperforms the human lawyer control group. That doesn't mean that machines make better lawyers, but it does mean that for certain high volume tasks, AI is able to perform not just significantly faster, but also more reliably than humans. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, this outcome proves that investment in AI technology is beneficial in legal environments. The study also highlights the area where AI is best used. Data extraction and document Q&A, for example, is an optimal use of this technology compared to some of the other areas where it's useful but not as useful. Having developed a study that can be relied upon by the industry, the team looks forward to building upon these benchmarks in the future.
You can see our existing benchmarks by going to vals.ai, vals.ai. We will release the report soon on that site, and you can also subscribe to our mailing list to get an email when it's out.
This benchmark will not be static. We expect to repeat it at least once a year, integrating new products, testing out new tools, and collecting more data on more tasks. We will continue collaborating with members of the industry in order to do this. Law firms can contribute more data and advise in our testing process, and vendors can be considered for evaluation in subsequent iterations. If you'd like to be involved in the future, please get in touch with us at contact@vals.ai. Thanks.